Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Nelson Mandela. Education is one of the most important aspects of children's lives. With an education, children have endless opportunities to do whatever their hearts desire. Because education is so imperative, it is equally as important to ensure that each child is getting a good quality education that develops a lifelong love of learning. To do this, teachers must be able to teach each and every student in a manner that is effective and engaging. Can multicultural education and culturally relevant pedagogy be used to increase student interest in social studies? Before one can answer this question, one must know, just what is multicultural education? Multicultural education is a philosophical concept built on the ideals of freedom, justice, equality, equity, and human dignity as acknowledged in various documents such as the U.S. Declaration of Independence, Constitutions of South Africa and the United States, and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights adopted by the United Nations. It continues on to say that multicultural education is a process that permeates all aspects of school practices, policies, and organizations as a means to ensure the highest levels of academic achievement for all students. Cherry Banks and James Banks said it well when they highlighted the fact that there is no universally accepted definition for multicultural education. It is a misconception that simply the integration of multicultural content is its totality. Multicultural education must be used as a concept and broken down into its specific parts. Since one might now have a bit of an idea of what multicultural education looks like, one needs to look at the next word, pedagogy. Some refer to pedagogy as simply the art, science, or profession of teaching, or the method and practice of teaching, especially as an academic subject or theoretical concept. According to Steve Wheeler, pedagogy is leading people to a place where they can learn for themselves. Good pedagogy is about guiding students to learning. It's about posing challenges, asking the right questions, and presenting relevant problems for learners to explore, answer, and solve. True pedagogy is where educators transport their students to a place where they will be amazed by the wonders of the world they live within. That being said, pedagogy is how a teacher teaches. To have an effective pedagogy, a teacher must reach his or her students and guide them to think and learn for themselves. Now that one has learned more about multicultural education and pedagogy, why is it relevant to educators? Why is it important? It is important to use multicultural education and culturally relevant pedagogy because it ensures that all students are included and it makes their learning relevant, thus increasing student interest. We all bring something to the learning table. Each and every one of us has something to contribute, and multicultural education helps teachers level the playing field for students. Let's refocus on the task at hand, multicultural education. According to Banks, multicultural education has 5 different components or dimensions. These are content integration, knowledge of construction process, prejudice reduction, equity pedagogy, and empowering school culture and social structure. Each of these 5 dimensions must be utilized in the classroom in order to effectively use the concept of multicultural education. According to Kenneth Benji, students are often not interested in social studies because they see it as memorizing dates versus discovering the past. It is approached as generalizing and boring. There is so much focus on what the white man did. Benji asserts that multicultural education is for all students, and it is the teacher's responsibility to make history relevant and interesting for the students. To ensure that all students were included, Benji gave his 8th grade class a survey to determine each student's likes and dislikes. He then chose primary sources based on students' answers that he built his social studies unit on. This made sure that each student could relate to his lessons in some way. Gloria Laston Billings asserts that many findings from multicultural education research can be applied in the everyday world of teachers and administrators. This observation holds regardless of whether the educators work with many students of color or with only a few. Billings goes on to say that research demonstrates that 5 areas are imperative regarding the education of the multicultural population: teachers' beliefs about students, curriculum and content materials, instructional approaches, educational settings, and teacher education. The utter importance of multicultural education can be summed up in this way. If current demographic trends hold, our student population will become more diverse, while the teaching population remains predominantly white. The implication is that if teachers are to be effective, they need to be prepared to teach children who are not white. In the next section, one will be introduced to literature that effectively integrates multicultural education in the classroom. I Love Saturdays y Domingos by Alma Florada is a book for ages 4 through 8 about a young girl who spends Saturdays with her grandparents who speak English and Sundays, Los Domingos, with her Spanish-speaking grandparents and is supported by both households. This book is an excellent example of literature that easily integrates multiculturalism and social studies. The book Pecan Pie Baby by Jacqueline Woodson is about a young girl, Gia, who is waiting for her new baby sister to come. She is not happy about the attention the baby is getting before she is even born, and her mother is constantly craving Gia's favorite food, pecan pie. This story's multiracial family and African-American mother and daughter is an excellent example of integrating multicultural education in the classroom. The next topic entails examples of how to integrate multiculturalism in social studies instruction in the classroom. These Mayan trouble dolls are symbols of an ancient Mayan story that Guatemalans have passed down to their children for generations. These dolls and their accompanying history can be used to study ancient cultures and their beliefs in a multiculturally integrated unit of social studies in an elementary school classroom. For example, students can read stories about these dolls, then write about the role they played in ancient Mayan culture. This buffalo hide could be used in a lesson on teaching students about Native American Indian culture. Learning about the various ancient Native American tribes is an excellent way to integrate multiculturalism in social studies in an elementary school classroom. For example, students could design their own buffalo hide according to the traditions and culture of the particular tribe that they are learning about. With this plethora of information, multicultural education can seem a bit overwhelming. Thus, it is vital that educators fully understand exactly what multicultural education implies and what must be done to use it as a tool to effectively teach each and every student regardless of his or her background. It is important for teachers to remember that multicultural education is a concept that has several parts that must be considered for it to be effectively used in the classroom to enrich students' learning experiences. Multicultural education is important because it ensures that all students can relate to what they are learning. This makes learning fun and increases student interest in traditionally boring subjects like social studies. When students are actually excited about what they're learning, the possibilities are endless.